My name is Sally Hurst and welcome to my studio, and what I want to do today is to introduce you, if you don't already know, to the joys of printmaking using a die cut machine. I'm using die cut machines on my online courses and I use them when I do outreach courses. They are simply fabulous. About 5-6 years ago, I wrote a quite comprehensive blog post, the link will be below, which really goes into a whole range of them. I bought about 8 on eBay and online, and I've tried them all out and set them up against a traditional professional etching press, and be assured the results were all the same. But I wanted to make this shorter video just to kind of introduce you to my favourite one, which is the SIZZIX Big Shot Plus. And before we get going or anything, I have no affiliation with SIZZIX. I get no kickbacks from them. I simply like to spread the joy and to introduce you to a way of working that uses a machine that is really easily available and cheap. It's not going to last you a lifetime in the way the traditional etching press would. But my argument is it's going to introduce you to the joys of intaglio printmaking, so you may in future go on and buy yourself a pucker one. That said, I've been working with this one solidly for the last 7 years and it has never let me down. Let's take a closer look. This is the SIZZIX Big Shot Plus. It has a 9-inch or 21 centimeter wide roller. They do a smaller one. I think it's just called the Big Shot, and they used to do a larger one called the Big Shot Pro, which is on the blog post. It's a beautiful machine. It will print much larger than this one, but that one has been discontinued. You sometimes see them popping up on second-hand sites, so look out for a Big Shot Pro if you have room to keep one. It comes with a bed that is smaller than this, but getting started with this and the bed it comes with is fine. What I've got here though is a bed that I've cut from a piece of catering cutting mat. Not terribly well, I have to say. My lines aren't perfectly straight, but it's sufficient. You need something, this is about 12 millimeters thick and it is sturdy. It's not going to bend. You could use MDF, you could use melamine. I've used IKEA kitchen cupboard drawer fronts. I've used melamine shelving, anything you can find. And the length really isn't important. This one is a 45 centimeter long one. Obviously, the only restriction you have is your width. It needs to fit into the machine. So I have this one. I have another one for a longer prints. I do quite like making long prints. This is 60 centimeters and this is half a 45 centimeter cutting mat. Again, not cut terribly well on my jigsaw. I also have a meter long one to do very, very long prints. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's just start off with this one. So a sturdy bed, 12 millimeters thick. You can probably get away with 10 millimeters. Any thinner than that, be careful. It needs to be something that's not going to bend or buckle. What this machine doesn't have, that a traditional etching press would have and other die cut machines have, is any way of adjusting that top roller. An adjustable press has a dial somewhere where the top roller can move up and down. To be quite honest, it's like with washing machines. Sometimes those extra gadgets can fail. Sometimes they can make it too complicated. And I'm not over enamored. My go-to is this one because there is nothing to adjust on this. The rollers are fixed. The handle is nice and sturdy. I love this handle where I can pick it up and put it down. And to get the pressure I want is very straightforward. It's simply a matter of packing it out. The ones that are adjustable, I have to say, I usually end up packing those ones out as well. See what you can find. But this is the SIZZIX and this is what I'm going to talk about today. As well as your bed, you'll need a blanket. This is compressed felt. and between 3 and 5 millimeters is what you're looking for. I buy this from a supplier in London. They sell it by the inch. A piece like this cost about 11 or 12 pounds, not a lot. But you could use a smooth yoga mat, not the wrinkly ones, smooth yoga mats, thin pieces of foam, see what you can find. But this is what I really like to use, and you only need one. A traditional etching press always has more than one blanket, mainly because the blankets are expensive. So they'll have one that will protect the blanket, the main blanket. But for this, we only need the one. So you need, again, the size of your bed and the width of your rollers. You need a blanket. What do we use to pack this up though? Well, the various things you can use. I've got some pieces of hardboard here. So a couple of pieces of hardboard would give you a nice pack. But I mostly use just mount board. Okay, this is 2 millimeter thick mount board or mat board. Not terribly clean, can be just stuff you've got lying around, but it must be smooth. Anything ridged or textured is going to affect your print. So I'm going to put 3 pieces in there for this one, and I've got my piece of felt. Just need to give it a bit of a hand pulling it through. And then there's other things I'm going to need. I'm going to need a piece of paper to protect my felt, and I'm going to need a piece of paper or something smooth and wipeable like laminate plastic that's going to stop my pieces of card getting filthy. So I've got 3 pieces of mount board and my blanket and some paper. And then to the side of my press, I've always got a pile of packing papers. Obviously they need to be the same length as your plate. The plate I'm going to use today is quite small. I'm going to use one of these pieces to protect my bed. This plate I made as part of wax calligraphy printmaking, and I've inked it up and wiped it up, and it's ready to be printed. So I'm going to lay that on there. Lay my damp blotted piece of paper, I'm using a watercolour paper by the way, on there. That goes down. That goes down, and the whole sandwich runs through the press. Now I haven't tested the pressure on this, it may need some more. I've got my papers at hand. Now I can feel that's not quite enough pressure. And I'm just going to put them between the boards so as to not disturb my plate. That's better. I can feel it jump down from the plate. I can see a nice embossing on the top, and if I lift it up carefully, I can see that it's printed beautifully. Isn't that fabulous? It's picked up all the tones and textures from that wax calligraphy plate. The pressure is enough to get right deep inside these lines. So to recap, I've got a 12mm board. I've got 3 pieces of mount board, about 2 millimeters thick each. I've got about 5 pieces of packing paper, a sheet of paper here, my plate, which is a thick one. Obviously, if I was using Tetra Pak or Dry Point or Mirror Card, they're thinner. I will need more packing paper. I've got paper to protect my blanket, and I have my blanket. I really hope that helps demystify what we use a press for, why we use it, and how accessible they can be. And I really hope I can help you enjoy your journey into printmaking using a rolling action press like this.